I'm so hyped. The final season of Attack on Titan is finally here. But still, I'm just gonna be honest, none of the intros still hit as hard as dun, 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 dun. Yo dudes and dudettes, your friendly neighborhood JaxBlade is back with another episode of Would That Work Out? The series where I use my knowledge of personal training and exercise science to analyze how effective a fictional character's routine would be if attempted in real life. And today we're covering one of my personal favorite muscle gals from fiction, Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. But not only are we talking about Mikasa Ackerman's training from Attack on Titan, but also just like the 3D maneuver gear and what type of fitness you would need to like manage those in real life. So I am super excited to talk about one of my favorite series today. And I especially love it because this channel is all about loving and respecting muscular women. In this show about deformed looking giants munching people like Harold at the chocolate factory in Hey Arnold, one thing that absolutely just stuck out to me was how ripped Mikasa was. And it wasn't just like, I thought this was just some like, fan art. Like, how there's a ton of fan art of just like tons of muscular women out there where it's just like, oh yeah, they obviously add to them. And so I saw this like art for her and I was like, damn, she's got some ripped abs. And I found out it was promotional art and I was just like, are you, what? Mind legit blown. And with season 4 coming out, I most definitely had to cover my girl again. And for those of you out there who actually want to get ripped like Mikasa, like actually get the body like Mikasa, like boys or girls alike, if you just want to get that lean muscular body, be sure to check out my Mikasa Ackerman Tough Like the Tunes I did a couple years back. It's still incredibly effective. I actually noticed like a lot of fat loss when I do this routine myself, and I just highly recommend it to anyone who just wants to. I have a whole playlist of other of your favorite characters, so go swipe and check that out after this.
Yeah, boy.
Now, Mikasa's little girl was just your standard adorable kid living with her mother and father before these two rat piece of shit scumbags showed up, murdering both of them, and planned to kidnap Mikasa so they could sell her into the human trafficking ring because she was the last of her race and Asians sold well for them. Now, thankfully, this didn't go as planned as her future stepbrother, Eren, showed up and they proceeded to go Bride of Chucky on both these killers. Afterwards, she is adopted and brought into Eren's family where she is loved again. And it appears she starts developing inklings of her insane strength.
Jesus Christ, Mikasa, you really need to lay off the bull shark testosterone and bi-weekly steroid implants. You're like way too strong for a girl.
What's wrong with taking testosterone?
You're like fucking 12, that's what's wrong.
Damn, I wonder what Mama Yaga's chores are like.
Because during her childhood, she was feared by bullies left and right for her immense strength and innate fighting ability. Chucking them around, putting them in locks, throwing knockout bombs that would make Mike Tyson proud.
I am proud of you no matter how you choose to live your life.
And she only got stronger as she grew up until...
Santa Maria!
So the now iconic scene transpires and people getting effed up left and right, and thanks to these giant monster babies. Yeah, you know what, like before we find out what they truly are later on in like later seasons, just imagine giant Phil and Lils from Rugrats walking around. Instead of eating worms, they eating people. So her foster mother is eaten, and her and Eren swear to kill the Titans while Eren becomes much more vocal with it.
I'm going to kill every last Titan and gargle on their blood, but not before I teach them how to speak so they can beg for mercy before I kill them slowly and painfully.
So they join the Scout Regiment where they learn to kill Titans and train like your typical military facility, excluding the Spider-Man, machines, which we'll talk about later. But for now, let's talk about the physical training that they underwent. Now, the physical training the Scouts underwent was pretty basic stuff for the most part. Calisthenic exercises and running to make sure they had tons of muscular and cardiovascular endurance for combat situations so they wouldn't get fatigued as fast and fight on for longer periods of time. Combat training she did with a lot of sparring, where she whooped pretty much everyone with ease and is implied to have had a solid fight with Annie when she was just, still human. Now, in previous Would That Work Outs, we've talked in depth about the benefits of sparring, fighting, and calisthenics and all that jazz, and how well it can work at building a lean muscular physique with proper diet. So if you're interested in that at all, hit that bell icon and subscribe and check out the playlist. I'm pretty sure I've talked about at least one of your favorite characters before in the past, so go ahead, check that out if you want to. And these scouts weren't eating like kings.
What sort of king is he eating like?
The fat, happy kind.
It's safe to say that most of the time they were in a calorie deficit, eating less than their TDEE, or total daily energy expenditure, required for them to maintain their current body weight. Or maybe they had them eaten at maintenance level calories, but in addition to all the activity they were doing, it put them into a calorie deficit regardless because they were a lot more active. Not to mention the fact they are younger teenagers, which already greatly boosts the metabolism, which would let them cut fat pretty easily as well. Like, I mean, just think back to when you were in high school and middle school, right? And think of the athletic kids in your class. Now, I'm pretty sure you knew a few of them who all they did was work out and play sports, or hell, probably just play sports, and they were just toned and ripped as fuck because of that. I mean, I knew at least 15 kids like this back in the day, because like I mentioned before, they got them.
Are you ready?
Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, Captain!
The reason I bring that up is because from all the active training and extra stuff Mikasa was doing, from calisthenics, shadow boxing, sparring, and lifting heavy-ass boxes like nothing for a day job, which just amplifies her not only having insane physical strength, but core, arm, back, and leg strength as well to not hurt her lower back from holding it like this.
Damn, girl!
It makes more than enough sense that she would have a body that is more athletically built than other women and most men who do not train as much as her. So she doesn't have like a She-Hulk, Dragon Ball Super Kale physique. She's just a lean, muscular woman like these girls right here. You can see in real life with like this hyper developed set of abdominals. You see these girls right here? Yeah, like that is very realistic in that sort of sense. That would make a reasonable stepbrother question themselves when looking at her.
I just want to fuck you. Can't you tell that by now?
Oh my fucking god. Shut up.
But let's move on to the final thing she did for training, the 3D maneuvering gear. Now, there are tons of great videos on how the 3D maneuvering gear would have to work in real life, and one of my faves is the Because Science on It by Kyle Hill, which you can check out, and talks about how it could be dangerous but not necessarily life-threatening to move around in, because like if you underwent significant training to withstand more G-force, and we'll talk about that in depth, but like what you have to undergo like would make you a lot stronger to handle those situations. So with that said, let's talk about G-force training and not those goddamn hamsters.
Nerd time.
So what is G-force and how do we train for it? Well, G-force, or the gravitational force equivalent, is a measurement of acceleration relative to free falling. So, on Earth, this is what we call 1G, or 9.8 meters per second squared, or equivalently 9.80665 newtons of force per kilogram of mass. In easy to understand terms, it's the force that applies to you when falling. So think of being on a roller coaster and going up and then dropping. The force is being applied to you when you're dropping. That is G-force.
So people like astronauts and fighter jet pilots deal with this force all the time from how fast they have to accelerate through the air. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, well, I love roller coasters, I bet I could do it, and you'd be in for a rude awakening. If you've ever seen those videos of fighter pilots blacking out in their seats from G-force, it's because their bodies are accelerating incredibly fast or decelerating after going at such an intense speed that the G-force causes blood pressure to change and the flow of oxygen to the brain rapidly decreases. And this can come from a force of just 4 Gs. This happens because the pressure outside of the pilot's body is so much greater than the pressure a human's body is normally accustomed to. So, one human body can handle Gs differently than another, and certain areas of the body can be hit harder than others. So they wear these special anti-G-force suits, which compress on certain areas so that blood flow is not thus counteracting the tendency for blood to accumulate in those areas, like the abdomen and the legs. Also, all these people underestimate how important proper support of the head is, since during extreme acceleration, a head that's not properly supported is susceptible to swelling of the sinuses and severe headaches. The reason I bring this up is not only because a strong core is required to stabilize yourself on 3D maneuver gear, but being able to handle these G-forces without passing out is just a whole nother level of insane training in itself. So, how do you train for G-force and no, not that goddamn... So how do you train for G-force? Same way you get better at everything else. Practice, practice, practice. Typically in a human centrifuge. So You learn to prep yourself for various levels of G-force, prepping your reactions, your tolerance, and your body, and seeing how all of these will adapt as you progress. So you learn how to anticipate the G-force and when to tense your muscles so that you can keep blood pumping to your heart and brain, which again helps you from passing out. In addition, you also learn to control your breathing, and you can also learn like certain meditation style techniques, which I talked about in depth here if you want to learn more about that. But because of their 3D maneuver gear, they probably wouldn't go as fast as they go in the show, but at a reasonable speed and suits designed for it. It actually would be quite plausible to work in real life, as many science videos before me have stated. It's just the crashing and monsters ripping it apart that's hard to imagine. But overall, would Mikasa Ackerman's training and the 3D maneuver training actually work if attempted in real life? All the combat and fitness stuff, most definitely yes. And for the 3D maneuver gear, it's actually quite a bit plausible if you do it properly, which is insane to me to believe.
Unless anyone's feeling up to the task, in which case, well, I'm happy to demonstrate my own technique. On you, and every last inch of your traitorous flesh.
So if you like my vibe, please subscribe. But anyways, dudes and dudettes, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you learned some. So if you did like today's video, be sure to hit that bell icon and subscribe down below, and be sure to hit that like button. It helps the video out so much when you hit that like button, like it really does. So thank you all to everyone who hits that like button. And to people who made this far in the video, I always like to do a little test. So could you type the phrase, bless Ackerman abs down below? It lets me see that you watched the video to here, and I love seeing that, and I love seeing how many people made it this far in the video. So just bless Ackerman abs. It just helps so much because, Mikasa has just a solid goat pair of abs, but so does Levi, so I love that little thing. But anyways, thank you all for watching today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to tell me, did you love it? Did you hate it? Like, whatever you think, I'm open to learn some stuff, and I am just really excited that Attack on Titan Season 4 is here. Like, this is truly one of the greatest animes of the last decade. Like, honestly, it's one of my favorites ever. Like, I think it's just so damn good. Like, I was so surprised that it picked up this much, and I am just super hyped to see how it concludes. So tell me, who's your personal favorite character? Try not to be all spoilery in the comments down below, but again, don't do it. Just don't be a dick about it. I love this show, and I love that I was able to express this show with y'all. And again, I have a ton of other stuff like this. I'm still working on my Massive Ninja Turtle video. I had to do a lot of work on it. I'm making sure this is quality stuff for the amount of time I'm putting into it. And of course, I'm still working on my Goku Month 2 Tough Like the Toons, but I'm also working on other Tough Like the Toons as well, which I'm super excited for y'all to see because I got some props for it today, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be so dope. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate this. All of you keep me motivated to keep doing these things, and I love it. Anyways, guys, gals, non-binary pals as well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, like I always say, keep calm, booyah on, and don't forget, moment time. Now go train hard and get some ripped babs like Mikasa. Booyah!